I cheated on my husband, and now I'm desperately trying to win him back. We've shared 6 years together, 4 of them as husband and wife, and we have a beautiful 20-month-old son. Our story began at a friend's house party, where we instantly connected. After 2 years of dating, we got married and started building a life together. When our son was born, it felt like we were blessed with the family we had always dreamed of. My husband had always hoped for a son and a daughter, and we were even planning to expand our family. But as time passed and parenting became more demanding, our relationship began to change. Our intimacy waned, not because he wasn't trying, but because I struggled with my own insecurities. Despite his constant reassurances that he found me attractive, I often turned him down. When we went out, I noticed other women glancing at him, or trying to make eye contact. It triggered a jealousy I couldn't control, even though he always reassured me, "You're the only one I love." One night, after he came home exhausted from a long shift at the hospital, I let my insecurities take over. While he was asleep, I snooped through his phone. I found innocent conversations with female friends and even exes. Messages where he respectfully turned down invitations to meet. In one case, an ex brazenly suggested they hook up, and he immediately blocked her, replying, "I have a wife." Instead of being relieved by his loyalty, my insecurities twisted the situation. In my mind, I convinced myself he must be hiding something. Fueled by suspicion, I reached out to an ex-boyfriend I hadn't spoken to in years. I told myself it was harmless, but one thing led to another, and we met at a nearby hotel. I crossed a line I can never undo. The moment it was over, I was consumed with regret. I realized my husband had never betrayed me, and I had destroyed the trust we'd built for a fleeting, meaningless moment. 3 days later, unable to bear the weight of my guilt, I confessed everything to him. We were sitting on the couch watching TV, when I broke down crying, and told him the truth. He didn't yell or argue. He just stared at me silent and expressionless. Then, without a word, he went upstairs, locked the bedroom door, and left me crying at the door. Hours later he emerged, packed a bag and left. He hasn't spoken to me since, except briefly when he returned to see our son. Even then, he avoided me completely, focusing solely on our child. When I begged him to talk, he looked at me with a coldness I'd never seen before and said, "I don't want to know anything. I already know everything I need to know." His words cut deeper than any argument ever could. In desperation, I tried to explain why I had pulled away from him intimately, hoping he'd understand that it wasn't his fault. That's when he lost his composure. He grabbed my arm, pinned me against the wall, and yelled, "I told you to shut up." Though he didn't hurt me physically, his anger and disgust were palpable. I'd shattered something sacred between us. He told me I was used and broken to him now. And then he delivered the final blow. "We're getting a divorce." I know now that I acted out of insecurity and self-sabotage. He was fully committed to me and our family, and I threw it all away. I betrayed a good man who had given his heart and soul to our relationship. Therapy might help me understand why I acted this way, but I fear it's too late to save our marriage. A man who refuses to fight or argue is a man who's done. His silence, his coldness, they're louder than words. I've read comments from others saying I acted out of insecurity, and while that might be true, it doesn't excuse what I did. I had no evidence he was unfaithful, and yet I sought revenge for something I imagined. He never gave me a reason to doubt him, and instead of confronting my insecurities, I destroyed the trust between us. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that actions have consequences. I see now that by betraying him, I became my own worst enemy. I can only hope that one day, he'll find it in his heart to forgive me. Not for the sake of reconciliation, but so he can find peace and happiness after the pain I caused. As for me, I'll live with the regret of losing the best thing that ever happened to me. My husband was a good man, a great father, and my partner in building a life I'll now have to navigate without him. The cost of losing a good partner. When someone loses a loyal, loving, and committed partner, the consequences can be life-altering. In the case of a woman who betrayed her husband, her regret is likely to linger for a lifetime because good men, truly good men, are rare. A man who is loyal, understanding, and supportive doesn't just happen by chance. These are the men who stay through hardships, who prioritize their families, and who show up even when things get tough. Yet, when such a man is taken for granted or betrayed, the fallout is inevitable. When a man like this decides to leave, it's not a spur-of-the-moment decision. It's the result of quiet suffering, internal battles, and countless attempts to make things work. For some men, they stay longer than they should, often for the sake of their children, enduring the mental toll in silence. But when they finally walk away, it's usually permanent. Many people, both men and women, fail to recognize the warning signs of unhappiness in their partner. They ignore the silent withdrawal, the lack of engagement, and the subtle changes in demeanor. And when the relationship ends, they're left questioning how it all fell apart. Why losing a good man hurts forever. When a good man leaves, the void he creates is impossible to fill. He may have made his partner believe that all men are like him, kind, loyal, and committed. But once he's gone, reality sets in. The partner realizes that what they had was rare. Some may try to replace him quickly, jumping into another relationship to mask their regret. But those attempts are often futile, because no one else can replicate the stability and love they lost. Take the case of men who find themselves replaced by the proverbial Chad, the charismatic but unreliable rebound. At first, the thrill of something new might be exciting, but as time goes on, the cracks begin to show. Chad's intentions are often fleeting, and when the excitement fades, the reality of their loss hits hard. By then, the good man has likely moved on or lost interest in rekindling the relationship. The internal battle of staying or leaving. For men who stay despite feeling unfulfilled, there's an internal struggle that can be emotionally exhausting. On one hand, they want to leave for their own mental health and happiness. On the other, they stay because of a sense of duty, to their children, to the family they've built, or to the hope that things might improve. This battle can wear down even the strongest man. His facial expressions, his demeanor, and his body language will often betray his true feelings. He may stay physically, but emotionally, he's already checked out. When he does decide to leave, it's often after weighing the costs, financial, emotional, and relational. By the time he walks out the door, he's already made peace with his decision. He's done, and there's no going back. The regret that follows. When a partner loses a good man, regret is almost inevitable. This regret stems from realizing too late what they had. The realization that no one else will treat them with the same level of care, patience, and love can be a bitter pill to swallow. In some cases, they may attempt to reconnect, to win back the man they lost. But more often than not, it's too late. Good men don't linger in situations where they're undervalued. They learn, grow, and move on. Lessons for moving forward. If you've been in a situation where you've lost a good partner, or are at risk of losing one, here are some key lessons to consider. 1. Recognize their value early. Don't wait until it's too late to appreciate what you have. Pay attention to their needs, and communicate openly about issues before they escalate. 2. Address insecurities. Insecurity can be toxic in a relationship. Instead of projecting fears onto your partner, work on building your confidence and self-worth. 3. Respect the relationship. Loyalty and trust are the cornerstones of any strong relationship. Betraying that trust, even once, can cause irreparable damage. 4. Learn from mistakes. If you've made mistakes, take accountability and commit to personal growth. Whether or not the relationship survives, you'll be better equipped for future connections. 5. Let go when necessary. If you're the one who's been hurt, don't settle for being someone's second choice. Respect yourself enough to walk away from situations where you're not valued. Why patience and discipline matter. In relationships, as in life, patience and discipline are crucial. Building something meaningful takes time, effort, and a willingness to overcome challenges. Just as success in business requires sacrifice and dedication, so too does success in relationships. Good relationships, like dreams, aren't built overnight. They require a strong foundation, clear communication, and mutual respect. When one person betrays or undervalues the other, it undermines everything they've worked to build. If you're fortunate enough to have a good partner, cherish them. If you've lost one, take the lessons you've learned and commit to becoming a better version of yourself.